What's going on, guys? Welcome to your third stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and news report for Wednesday, February 24th. We are now just 2 days away from the House voting on this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, or COVID relief package, which they are calling the American Rescue Plan. Now, although Republicans are all in on voting against this bill, Democrats are right now trying to get everybody on board and get everybody all in on voting to support this $1.9 trillion stimulus package. So right now, we have Republicans who want to go against it, we have Democrats that want to support it, and there's really no bipartisan support on this bill. And that is what President Biden is wanting to get done. But the huge issue right now, and this is big, is that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are fighting to get their caucus on board with this plan. Right now, they are trying to urge all members to support this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, because if too many people defect and side with Republicans, then this entire bill would completely fall apart. What we know is that right now, not everybody is satisfied with this bill. Some are, but we have some progressives that say, no, we need to provide more money for unemployment. We need to provide, more money for, within the stimulus check. And then we have some more moderates, very conservative, that are saying, no, we need to kind of pull it back. We're providing too much stimulus to people that just don't need it. And so right now, there's a lot of fighting within the Democratic Party. In the House, Democrats can lose 5 votes. If they lose 6, then this bill will not pass through the House, and we don't even have to talk about the Senate. But in the Senate, if Democrats lose just 1 vote, then this bill will not pass. And right now, all eyes are on Joe Manchin, the senator out of West Virginia, and Kyrsten Sinema, the senator out of Arizona. Those are the two that we have to be really cautious with, because they could vote either way. The big things that they're voting on, or they are considering opposing, are the $15 federal minimum wage, and then obviously the $1,400 stimulus checks, because Joe Manchin says they're just not targeted enough. So right now, all congressional leaders are all in on getting their caucus on board in order to vote along party lines. However, we may not see this in the House, and we may not see this in the Senate either. On Friday, this is when the vote is going to happen. This is according to Steny Hoyer. He said this on Twitter just the other day, that the House will vote on the $1.9 trillion stimulus package on Friday. Well, we still haven't heard from the Senate parliamentarian as to whether or not the $15 federal minimum wage will be included or can be included, but some are saying that we should know or could know sometime today. I was expecting to hopefully hear something late last night, however, that didn't happen. Still didn't hear anything early this morning, so my guess is she's continuing to work, trying to figure out and really wrestle with the idea. Does this $15 federal minimum wage, does it abide by the Byrd rules, or does it not? And it can be very complicated. She's the one ruling on it. However, Democrats and within the Senate can overrule her. So there's always a possibility that they can do that as well. So how these leaders are deciding to whip their members into shape and trying to get them to vote along party lines, that's not currently being discussed. But we do know that Republicans had a lunch yesterday to discuss where their strategy is and how they can actually move forward. We know that over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a bunch of different amendments on this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, and these are all going to come from Republicans. However, Democrats are planning on proposing some amendments as well. We did hear yesterday that Mitt Romney, both Senator Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton, unveiled a plan yesterday to provide a $10 minimum wage as well. However, we didn't hear many details on this plan. We also are hearing that Joe Manchin this coming week will propose an $11 per hour minimum wage amendment as well. We don't have any plans on that either, because currently it is being said that he's still working on this, and it all depends on what the Senate parliamentarian says over the next couple of days. And here's a big one. Today, Senator Josh Hawley he's going to unveil a plan for up to $16.50 per hour for a minimum wage. Now, you may remember Senator Josh Hawley. He's the one that really pushed for that $2,000 stimulus check before the Georgia Senate runoff election. He was also the one that voted to impeach former President Donald Trump as well. And so he's been getting a lot of flack lately, a lot of heat. But he does have a proposal or an amendment for this minimum wage provision. Now, I'm not going to go into extreme detail on this because I think this is going to be an extremely complicated provision to implement. So I'm just going to try to outline what is actually in this plan. Josh Hawley is proposing that instead of putting the burden of an additional wage on the employer, and this is what many Republicans are saying as well, and some Democrats are saying this exact same thing, is we cannot ask the employer who we're trying to give PPP funding for just to stay open. We can't ask these employers to pay more for their employees because that's just going to make them go out of business. So here's what we know, and what you need to understand is with the PPP funding is if you get that as a small business owner, you can use that funding to pay for your employees and all their wages. And if you do this, the loan that you get is 100% forgivable, so you don't have to pay it back. So here's what this bill is saying, okay? What we know is Josh Hawley wants to propose that instead of the employer paying, let's have taxpayers pay to have these workers, these lower wage workers, get an increase in pay. So this would amount to roughly $200 billion over the next 4 years, I believe. And yes, this would mean that every single taxpayer would pitch in a little bit and would provide this money. So his plan is to provide those that make less than $16.50 per hour with a boost. The boost that you're going to get is going to be a 50% refundable tax credit of the difference. I know this is confusing, but let's explain. What he means is, let's say you get $10 per hour. You make $10 per hour, but you're supposed to get a $16.50 per hour wage. So you will get 50% of the difference. That is $6.50 between 10 and $16.50. That's $6.50. Meaning, if we take 50% of that, that's $3.25. You would get that as a refundable tax credit. This would come quarterly. So every 3 months, you would receive this money. However, you would only receive up to 40 hours per week. If you, let's say you work overtime every single week and you work 48 hours or 50 hours per week, you only get up to 40 hours per week or 160 hours per month. So just keep that in mind. So 160 hours per month, that is what, 480 hours per quarter. And so at, let's say $3 per hour, you get about a $1,200 bonus every quarter. That'll come out to about $4,800 or $1,200, so $4,800 per year. So about a $5,000 difference in your income just from this little boost. But again, as you can see, the bill would be somewhat complicated to administer. Not only that, but it really only helps out those, according to a report from Bloomberg and Axios. It really only helps out those that make less than $35,000 per year. So those that are still, harder, some of the hardest hit individuals that make less than $50,000 per year, but make over 35, they're technically not getting anything out of this. So, yes, it is helping out the lower income, individuals and families, but at the same time, it's leaving out the kind of middle class, the lower to middle class. So we'll see what happens there. Also, the reports from Axios says that this would disproportionately benefit those in states that have kept their minimum wages lower. So, if you are in a state that, let's say they pay, $10 per hour. I live in Washington State. I think it's like $13 per hour. In California, it's $14 per hour. So, in states like those, this really doesn't help much. So, we'll see what happens there, but this will be on the table. I don't expect Democrats to take this bill up as it stands. But here's the thing: what we are hearing is that President Biden is just looking for new ideas. He's just looking for new ideas to see where he can make some changes, possibly make this package a little bit cheaper. This proposal would actually make the package cost more, according to all reports. And this idea, it does think outside the box. This is something that President Biden is looking for. However, I don't think this meets all the needs and terms of what Democrats are looking for. So like I said, we will see what happens here, but this is going to be on the table. So here's what we need to expect. We need to expect some amendments that Republicans propose to be considered and possibly implemented into the next bill. We know that Republicans are going to try to push some different amendments that really have no merit to be in this stimulus package. However, they're going to do this to make Democrats look bad. This is exactly what Democrats did before, and it worked. So Republicans are going to take this same play out of Democrats' playbook, and they're going to use it against them. So if this happens and we see Republicans propose something good, then also expect some delays in the stimulus talks and negotiations. Now, what we're hearing this morning is that the GOP plan is actually to inundate Democrats with amendment after amendment. This, according to reports, is going to just slow down the process to try to get more meaningful stimulus into a plan that Democrats are trying to fast track through Congress. Right now, Republicans are very upset, saying that they have not had a single word. They have not had a single piece of input into this bill. Democrats are just pushing through progressive priorities. So, what we also know is that Republicans are not completely against the plan. And this is something that I brought up the other day. And I think a lot of people were taken back by it, wondering, how are you saying that Republicans are on board with this plan? Well, they are. What we know is that what Republicans are in support of is the $1,400 stimulus checks. They just don't like how it's going to people that make, $200,000 per year. They also do not like $400 per week in unemployment benefits. They don't think state and local governments should get $350 billion. They don't think schools should get a full $170 billion. They don't think, so much for rental assistance is really needed if we're providing unemployment benefits and we're providing $1,400 stimulus check. So they just want to make the package cheaper. But sometimes making a cheaper package doesn't mean it's going to be better. What President Biden is urging, and he is all in on, is we are not going to make the mistake that former President Barack Obama made in 2009 when he passed an $820 billion stimulus plan that effectively took us 10 years to recover from the 2008-2009 housing and financial crisis. So, President Biden does not want to go down that road again, so he is sticking to his guns and saying, we're going to do about a $2 trillion package because this is what is needed. We're going to provide what is needed. Not what the Republicans want, not what Democrats want, but what is needed. So, we will see what happens there because as of right now, it's looking like anything that Republicans want is not in this bill. Anything that Democrats want is in this bill. So, what Republicans are saying is they just don't like the fat that Democrats have put in this bill in order to buy progressive votes. Now, that's not a statement from me. That's not a opinion piece from the media. That is a statement from Mitch McConnell. And this could be true. This honestly could be true, but we just don't know. But what I stated yesterday is that many people are only worried about getting the $1,400 stimulus check, and I get it. It's understandable. If you don't have any money right now, you're looking at the fastest way you can get something just to survive and make it through another week. So yes, a $1,400 stimulus check is great, but what Mitch McConnell is saying is that a lot of people don't realize what else is included in this package. This is exactly what Mitch McConnell had to say on this matter just yesterday. He says, and I quote, "I'm sure everybody would love to get a check, but they haven't yet learned about what else is in it. And part of our job as a substantial minority, remember we're in a 50-50 Senate here, is to make sure the American people fully understand what's being proposed." And his statement's true. His statement is true. A lot of people are blinded by the $1,400 stimulus check. And like I said, I completely understand. I get it. But they don't even realize, and you may not know this either, is that there's more in this package that you may get that you didn't realize is actually there. So here's what we know. Not even talking about what progressives have pushed to get into this bill, just to get their votes. But we have $400 per week in unemployment benefits. This is going to last us through August 29th. We also have a child tax credit for people that make, well, you can even make $250,000, $300,000 and still get part of this tax credit. But you receive $3,000 for a child between 6 and 17 and $3,600 per year for children between 0 and 5. There's also going to be triple earned income credits. There's going to be more rental assistance, nutrition assistance, and quite a bit of help for small businesses. There's quite a bit in here. There's a lot in here other than just the $1,400 stimulus checks. The stimulus checks would provide probably the quickest relief, but it's also one of the smaller packages when you consider it and put it up against $400 per week for unemployment benefits that were going to last you an additional 24 weeks. So there's a decent amount of money there as well. Remember, this is a $1.9 trillion stimulus package or COVID relief bill. So there's quite a bit that you can be getting on top of the $1,400. You just have to remember that if you need help, just look and see how you can get it, because there's a lot of help out there. So right now, the fighting within Congress is still going on, but as I know more, I promise I'll share more. As always, consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.